Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare is written and directed by Scott Chambers, who's also stars as Christopher Robin in last year's Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. And it's the third installment in this Twisted Childhood universe, aka the Poohniverse. And this is a horror retelling of Peter Pan and Wendy by J.M. Barrie. It follows Wendy Darling. She has embarked on a quest to rescue her brother Michael, who's been abducted by the clutches of the evil Peter Pan, who's planning to send him to Neverland. Along the way, she meets Tinkerbell in this twisted version, who is basically hooked on heroin. She believes that is pixie dust. I'm just going to straight off right at the bat, I am not the biggest fan of the Twisted Childhood universe so far, because so far I've not been impressed, I've not been pleased with what they've done so far at least. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey came out in 2023, not a fan. Absolutely hated it. I thought it was a really bad film. One of the worst films I saw in that year. Blood and Honey 2 is definitely a step up, a slight step up from the previous film, but even though that still left to be desired. But this one is a horror version of Peter Pan, so this is kind of an interesting take. So it makes sense for Peter Pan to get a horror take of his horror version of himself. So I watched this illegally yesterday or last night, and I would say it was just alright. It was just average at best. It was better ones from the Twisted universe. It's one of the better enjoyable ones. It's an okay movie. Some good ideas going for it, but as far as the execution goes, left to be desired, because there's so many things they could have done so much more with it, and certain plot points and story, or certain things could have expanded upon. Let's just get the positives out of the way. There are some good things about it. There are some couple of things I did like. The acting all around is really, really solid. I think the acting all around is everyone did their best here. I think everyone gives their overall 100% in the script they're given, despite the some stuff they could have done better, but most of it is fine for the majority of it. Martin Portlock as Peter Pan, he's probably the best actor in the film. He's the highlight. He definitely brought that, really twisted, cunning, but brought that sense of child wonder to Peter Pan, but has that dark, sinister vocals to him, especially when he switched personalities, when he wears this iconic mask, when he says, "Oh, such a sweet little boy. Would you like to come to Neverland with me?" And of course, he gets that deep, scary, menacing voice like, "Don't worry about Michael. I'm going to take him to Neverland." Scary as hell, but he definitely brought that really well. He's definitely scary, twisted, and he definitely stands on his own. And he definitely gives that scary vibe, especially the way he looks with that mark on his right hand face right here. Really, really scary, very, very menacing. He doesn't get me tensed up a little bit when it comes to his slashing and some of his kidnapping kids and manipulating them to believe there's a place called Neverland, which was really scary. I will give some credits to. And I really like the other cast, especially with Megan Placito as Wendy Darling, even though I'll get to her character development in a moment, but her performance was really good. She's really, really brave girl. She really wants to find her brother Michael, and she definitely wants to find him. She wants to believe that she can find her brother before Peter Pan does something bad to him. And of course, I really like the actor who plays Michael. I think he's probably the best child actor. He's really, really likable. He's very, very into his acting. You tell the fear, the eyes, the emotion he brings to that character, and I really, really admired Scott Chambers' direction when he brought that in, and I really do like that. Mary Darling, played by Teresa Banham, I hope I pronounced her actress name wrong, who actually plays the same character in Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 as Christopher Robin's therapist, which Megan Darling is the therapist, and of course there are some connections to Blood and Honey 2. Watch the film, you know what I'm talking about. And I also very, very liked Kit Green as Tinkerbell, who is very much not much to the character, but she does have some standout moments, especially when she is addicted to heroin. She believes it's pixie dust, and she thinks she's a fairy, that Peter believes she's special. It does add some tense to the story to her, which I do like her character growth in there, and I do really like. And she does kind of catch on to Peter's plan, and she thinks in that, is there ever a Neverland, or does she believe there is? I do really liked, but I'll get to that in the moment with the negatives. But as far as the visual style and the direction and the music score, I think all of it's top notch. I think you expect from Blood and Honey, you know what you expect from this. Well, the second Blood and Honey, where it just definitely has that edge to it and definitely has that scare factor. And the kills in here are brutal and very, very horrifying and very, very tensed up. There's so many times I was shocked by the gore and the blood. Mostly practical to use, so it's not like any CGI blood. It doesn't have any fake CGI stuff, but thankfully they didn't use that, so thank God. I'll give the biggest praise for this film. But That being said, this film has still left to be desired because as far as the story as a whole, it's basic, it's very, very straightforward. It's just, you know what you're expecting. It's very predictable. You can see where things are going. But again, I wasn't expecting a deep story. I expected to be some kind of storyline, but I wish that some of the characters could develop more, because Wendy Darling, despite the actress, does a great job, but I feel like her character is very underdeveloped. Her character is very rushed, because the moment her brother Michael's been kidnapped by Peter Pan, and you can start to see her regrets, but then you don't really develop that much. You don't see that she felt guilty of losing Michael, and then she starts to lose that, like, her responsibilities, and that she doesn't feel that guilt. And then how things goes for her character. And in terms of the overall tonal shift, it's very, very dark, which I know it's going to go for a more darker tone for Peter Pan. I kind of miss that campy horror style, because I'm like, come on, it's Peter Pan. You've got to have some campiness to it. Nods, even though they do throw some nods and throw some references to the Peter Pan stories. If you see some references, you kind of go, oh, especially the scene where Peter Pan gets torn pixie dust and you see him float in the air, and of course sees a little shadow, which I will give some credit, it is very effective and very well done. But as far as the overall consistent tone, it's just way, way too dark. It takes itself way too seriously. I wish they could have had some levity to it. I'm not saying be bright and colourful and cheery and all that jazz, but they could have at least kind of embraced its weirdness. Blood Honey at least tried to embrace its weirdness, even though it doesn't do much with it. It's just too mean-spirited and dark, but even though they do throw some little nods and some references, I'll try and bring some of that campiness to it. Captain Hook, if you see the trailer, he's in the film, but they didn't do much with him per se. It kind of reminds me of Tigger in Blood Honey 2, but the difference is Tigger at least had something going for, especially at the third act of the film where he goes brutally killing. I was really hoping Captain Hook would do something. You know, he does straight at the end of the climax of the film, but there's not much to him. That is basically the twist of the story, which if you've seen the opening movie, you can see the connections, but it's very predictable. So as far as the Neverland believing, which I do get what they're going for, they're trying to make believe that if there is a Neverland, or as kids start to see if there is a place called Neverland, or is it just Peter's imagination that you think, oh, it is a place called Neverland where all boys can, you know, have their dreams come true. You know how to grow up. You don't have parents tell you what to do or not to do. You know, it's kind of like that type of thing. I get what they're trying to go for, but the execution, it doesn't expand upon. I wish they could have dived in it more, the physical side and ideology side of Neverland, which I could have done that. Again, what you expect, it's Jagged Edge Productions, they don't really dive in as much. This is definitely an improvement over the Blood and Honey films. Again, it's left to be desired. If you're a fan of Blood and Honey movies, I think you can have a good time with this one. You'll probably enjoy it. I mean, if you're just there for the kills, if you're just there for Peter Pan does messed up shit, then this movie is for you. You'll probably have a good time watching this. Me, I liked it for what it's trying to do with the concept of the story and the certain aspects, but the execution and the overall stuff they have so much going for left to be desired. I'm going to give Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare a C-. Guys, comment down below. Tell me, have you seen Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare? Tell me in the comments down below. I'm curious to know what's your thoughts on it. And of course, guys, until next time, guys, see ya!